Hi, Anikiko here, and it's all about raising the vibration, changing your state, and changing your fate. Today, I'm speaking with author Taryn Harvey, who's written this book called Trust. And Taryn is a Tantra therapist and a sexual therapist, and she does some amazing work. We're going to talk to her about that and also bust some myths that might be out there about Tantra. Over to you, Taryn.
Thanks, Annie. Yes, thank you for having me here today. Some of the myths about Tantra mainly are that it's a sexual experience, whereas Tantra embodies many forms of experience through energy of the heart, energy of the mind, body and spirit. So it's a Sanskrit word which means to weave the masculine and feminine energies. So that's one of the key myths is what is Tantra? Is it sexual? It still is sexual energy. It's a primal energy, which is a life force. So that's one myth.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that we don't have to do. We don't have to have sex to experience Tantra. We can be in that tantric space in any relationship we're in, because it also incorporates eye contact, being fully present, knowing how to be in one's energy, own one's energy, embody one's own identity, but also be able to be fully present to another.
So that's actually, so Tantra is being present and marrying the masculine and feminine energies together.
Absolutely.
It's not, that doesn't sound like sex to me.
No, but it isn't just about sex. So
Yeah.
I guess a lot of people come to me when they're finding that there's dysfunction in their sex lives. So that's why tantric sex, in essence, is about people realising that their lives aren't functioning as well as they'd like it to be, and that usually comes through the issues pertaining to sexual dysfunction or relational issues. So if a couple's having problems with communicating, generally it's about what they want in bed, that's always a sure indicator that people will start exploring ways of connecting. So they do look at Tantra as a way of reconnecting.
I love that, because really the kind of relationships that we have, how we communicate in them, also increasing our life force, addressing a sexual energy, that it's not being about sex, it's actually addressing all of who you are, right?
That's right. We all embody sexual energy. We all also encompass the masculine and feminine side. So that's the value of understanding how Tantra as a portal can increase a person's vibration and energy in all aspects of their body. So I work with the chakras, which is also something that people are becoming more aware of. They're major energy centres within the body. And I work with that in a way that people become more able to identify where there's a block. So say if it's a CEO or anybody that's in a high functioning role who presents with any dysfunction or stress, it's often because they start feeling deflated here in the energy around their sacral and solar plexus. They may feel there's a lack of connection between the two. So they become divided and they might become more heavily embodied in their masculine. And therefore they might be lesser in their feminine and less able to connect and even keep a relationship functioning.
Well, not only that, but if they're not able to connect, that's going to directly reflect in their business, because they're not going to connect that effectively with clients and so on and so forth. So you work with CEOs, you work with highly functional people, men and women, and what I really love is that you addressed a lot of the stuff around shame and guilt, and you really look at trust, and that really is a big part of not only your personal journey, but also what you talk about in the book. So it's so important, like in the work that I do, or even in music nutrition work and in working with clients with my background, I've found that the more we can get comfortable with what we feel guilty about or shameful about, the more flow we create in our life, the more abundance we create. And what's your take on guilt and shame and exactly what you've written about here?
I've written about it because trust is about owning our shadow and acknowledging those parts of us that feel guilty or feel slightly ashamed of our desires, our goals. So shame isn't always about something that's naughty or bad. It can be that we aspire to be a certain way that other people feel isn't appropriate. So that's therefore a belief that we may absorb. So a lot of what we identify in session and what I wrote about from my own experience is that by owning and embodying those aspects that have been repressed through fear, can alleviate any sense of guilt or shame. And we can say, well, actually, why should I be ashamed about being a sexually empowered woman? I can be successful and still be feminine, yet have masculine qualities that see me sit in a boardroom and function in an orderly manner. And the same with men who come to me quite often feeling vulnerable, and really their shame sits around that, like they might have sexual issues, generally speaking, and therefore it depletes them of feeling worthy. And that's incredibly disempowering for men. So I speak about that through my book and my cathartic musings around the clients that I've seen, and what my own journey is in relating to how it feels to hide away that shadow side. And by exposing my own experiences of sexual repression, I've allowed myself to heal that part of myself and bring that essence of owning the shadow to the foreplay.
That's a shadow, isn't it? Isn't it? That's awesome, though. I love that.
Well, foreplay is really important, but into the fore is what I was
Into the fore? Well, it actually, let's talk about that for a second, because, look, foreplay isn't that the way that when two people go into that before, they express themselves sexually with one another, they're actually creating a safe playground. It is play. It's a safe playground, isn't it, for them to...
Absolutely. This is a great introduction to that side of my work, is then bringing people out of the shadow into alignment. So when I see couples who are then exploring Tantra practice, it's being able to help them alleviate any imbalance in their energetic vibration and say, okay, foreplay is about connecting through the eyes and through the heart space. And when people say to me, how do I please my partner? It's like, well, foreplay isn't just what we suggest in general terms. It can be by acknowledging and witnessing our partner, really being present, hearing what they say, and understanding what it is that they like to feel pleasure and feel content in that interaction, be it. So intimacy is not just the physical, but acknowledging all elements of
I really love that
connection.
And intimacy is really, it's actually bringing forward the idea of the opposite of intimacy, which is, hiding away. But intimacy also is about sharing with somebody who's close to you your deepest fear.
Exactly.
So exposing that. And I really love what you were talking about in terms of exposing or showing the vulnerable side that you've been in and that you've experienced in life. Because even as an author or as a therapist, and for myself as an artist, the more that I can expose the things that I'm scared about, the things that I've had shame about,
That's it. We all fear judgment to a certain degree.
And when we expose them, it's just like people can relate so much more, and that's what gives them permission to be really who they are, isn't it?
Exactly, and that's spot on. So that's why all elements come together to help expose where there may be some energy leaks and lower vibrations. So once we're vibrating clearly with our own inner truth, then we can relate to other people quite more, intimately and comfortably.
I love it. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Where can we find you?
TantricSexualHealing.com.
That's TantricSexualHealing.com, and this is Taryn's book on trust, and goes through all the things we've just been talking about. And if you're also wanting to shift your state through sound, you can see all that at music-nutrition.com. Over and out. We'll see you soon.